Now, I don't know if you're aware, but the most advanced CPU fabrication factory in the world, Intel, is actually in Israel, in Eragot, Israel. And this basically, Russians have the full run of the place, considering that Russia is on selling all sorts of stuff to places like, even though it's quite public, how actual government departments, how woefully underinformed they are about the close relationship between Russia and Israel over the last 20 years. And that literally, you've just dumped the F-35, one of the most advanced multi-role aircraft, into Israel's arms, and now the technicians running over that in places like Elbit Systems, which are modifying the helmet for the F-35, they're modifying the screens for the F-35, its multifunction displays, are actually populated by Russian technicians, and they brag that most of them don't learn Hebrew, don't identify as Jewish, and they're literally running backwards and forwards from Israel to Russia. And the One Belt, One Road agreement that's been agreed to.
I just got cut off. Amazing. Mention One Belt, One Road. I'm in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, in a windowless hotel room when I did this, by the way. Tucker's not going to tell you. Nick Fuentes ain't going to tell you. Alex Jones will toss a bone once every 6 months. Think about it. Think about how controlled it is.
First of all, Mr. Lee, how should we understand this innovative, comprehensive partnership, but that seems to be the word being used. How should we interpret this? What does that mean, China's relation with Israel?
I think this and innovative, comprehensive...
This is late 2017.
...partnership is exactly represented the Chinese relations with Israel. As the Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu, said, and again, that, the Israel is the innovation center of the world. And China is the...
Remember, he just said, Israel is the innovation center of the world. He didn't say, Israel is pretty powerful and does reasonably well in cyber. No, Israel is the innovation center of the world.
Marketing, and also has a huge, production capabilities. If China's this kind of production capabilities, and also the marketing capability, and combined with the innovation, which is really has the advantage.
Right.
That would make both the economic very complementary.
That is in Tel Aviv. Now we are joined by Lionel Friedfeld, who is the CEO of Israel.
And I just want to say, as you watch, I want you to imagine these are very confident people. We're just going to hook up with Israel, and there's no problem. They're very confident. They were genuinely surprised when they were pulled up. And you know why they were pulled up? Me and you. I'm not effing joking. I wonder if things could have been very different. I really wonder. Because these people seemed completely confident they were going to pull this off. And no one was going to tell you about it, clearly. They turned up around 2019, didn't they, and decided they better hoe in, didn't they? You think about that.
Israel Asian Fund and also co-author of the book, Israel and China from Silk Road to Innovation Highway. So this couldn't be more appropriate question to address to you, Mr. Friedfeld. What about the demands from both sides for one another in terms of technology export and also investment?
Yes, definitely. Thank you very much. First of all, it is a historical, meeting with Prime Minister Netanyahu. We have to understand that there was past, visit of former President Shimon Peres, also Ehud Olmert, that actually had some family coming from Harbin in China. So the relationship between Israel and China is really close. It's around $12 billion of trade, and Israel is one of the largest partners in China regarding, in front of the United States and European Union.
Do you want me to repeat that for you? Israel is number one in China, in front of Europe and the United States. Think about it.
And so it's very important on the trade side.
Lower the barrier for your technology export, even though you have an ILI code in the United States, China, and you...
ILI code is the limiting of technology transfer.
Israel, on the other hand, is asking China, saying, well, you know what? Please do not limit the capital investment in the technology in Israel, for example, coming from China. And only that would make the technological advancement further progress. So what about demands from both sides?
Yes, you're completely right. There is two angles to the Israel-China relationship. The innovation angle, today China needs innovation to catch up with their competitors, American competitors, Japanese, South Korean competitors.
China needs innovation. It means technology and intellectual property to IP to catch up with their competitors. South Korea, America. I thought Israel was America's ally. When the books are written, they're going to go, was everyone brain dead at this stage in America or something?
Competitors. And today the name of the game, the battlefield in between China and the US, reaching to Israel innovation, because Israel is very strong in innovation, a lot of R&D centers. So the battlefield today is named Israel.
Wow, the battlefield today is in Israel. I mean, it's just in your freaking face. It's 4 years ago we did this. Have you seen this getting around? One Belt Road, one big competition. Look at that. The road to build Eurasian infrastructure has many players. Oh, God, no one had a Google critical alert. Does anyone still seriously think that Russia and Israel aren't allies? In Beijing, Netanyahu looks to marry Israel's technology with China's capacity. Oh, my God, Whitney Webb never had a Google alert, everyone. How did she manage? Neither did James Corbett on his $5,000 a week. China's tech money heads for Israel as US welcome wanes. A new security plan. Give Trump his due. Him, Pompeo, and Mattis went after him. All right, give him his due.
One other very good reason why Israel should not receive billions of dollars in military assistance annually is its persistent espionage against the United States. The 2005 report states, Israel...
The police raided my house looking materials from Sandra Troen and JPL. They raided my freaking house in the raid video. We're looking for materials from Jet Propulsion Laboratories. Has that perked anyone's interest? I actually contacted Dan Stormer, her lawyer.
Has an active program to gather proprietary information within the United States. These collection activities are primarily directed at obtaining information on military systems and advanced computing applications that can be used in Israel's sizable armaments industry. It adds that Israel recruits spies, uses electronic methods, and carries out computer intrusion to gain the information.
Wow. If we get caught, they will just replace us with persons of the same cloth. So it does not matter what you do. America is a golden calf, and we will suck it dry, chop it up, and sell it off piece by piece until there is nothing left but the world's biggest welfare state that we will create and control. Why? Because it is the will of God. And America is big enough to take the hit, so we can do it again and again and again.
So the relationship between Israel and China is really close. It's around $12 billion of trade, and Israel is one of the largest partners in China regarding, in front of the United States and European Union. So it's very important on the trade side.